Today we are going to work for linked list in generic. So far we have implemented a general purpose linked list that stores string values only. We have provided functionality to append nodes in our linked list. In this section we will be use generic to abstract away the type requirement from our linked list. So let's go with the generic linked list. For before that we should declare node, right? So every linked list have the nodes, right? In the previous tutorial we have type called string here, so that's why we are not mentioned as a generic. This is the generic type. The selected part is a generic type. So now in the internal value should be a generic only. So we have mentioned value should be generic and next node should be generic. If you're going to use for double linked list, we can use this also as a previous node. So now in this tutorial we are only looking for simple single list, so we can use this value and next. So up to now this is the node declaration, the class node class. Now going for the linked list class, just declare the linked list class with respect to the generic function like this. Now linked list having nodes, right? So the nodes, what are the nodes? It should we can define like it may be header node or it may be the tail node, right? So now the header node and tail node should be defined with the generic function like this, generic variable like this with optionals. Now we can check the empty conditions like this with the head is, because if head is nil the linked list should be nil, right? So that is the reason in a class itself we are declare the public variable is empty while checking with the y initially. Now this is the first node or last node. So if the node has first node, then we can go ahead with the our regular expressions to check linked list conditions like append or remove or removal or insertion. So that kind of operations is depends on the nodes. So this is the first node with respect to the generic function. And before tutorial, like a previous tutorial, we did not define this type of generic, only we just define with this node. Now we are going to use generic for all nodes. Now here is the append function. In previous tutorial here we mentioned as a type string, but here we given the type as t, that is the generic type. Now this same code we as follows previous, just we have to take consideration for new node. If new node has a value, we'll check for the tail node, it is a tail node or head node. If the tail node is there, we should assign previous node to the tail node, because the tail node to the previous, because every node has stores the reference of next pointer, right? So that's why this condition will be written. Now the tail node dot next is called new node. So this is the previous node and this is the next node. Basically the previous node will be calculated for the double linked list. Now the tail node is not there, then we can going for head node. This is the code. Now so when we append the values, like previously we defined the string for the string linked list, but we can use this single function append for any type of linked list. For example, I have took this example as previous, but I should mention the generic function, that generic parameter string here. So when we appended to the linked list, it will take how it will be. So here we have passed the linked list, and here we have passed the integer, but we are only using the single generic method here. So just play on this. Now see the output. So option Mahindra Scorpio, Tata Safari, option 1 of just I printed the first value and last value. That is the reason we only have this first and last value with respect to the numbers and car models. Thank you. We'll see the next